Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to be level with you. Making this Elad deck took me a few more trial and errors than I would have liked. More so than my past decks. Had to take a couple of losses for this while I further narrowed things down, but I think I like what I got. So let's jump into it. So with Elad, I really wanted to play more of a standard Rush Mage build for her. Now you can go down the Iron route, it's almost a copy and paste for either Lost or Niche, and you can do the same thing with Elad. But I like her ability in terms of controlling the board. An earlier control ability lets me bring Amulet online earlier than, say, Lost, who's at 5 Shadow Energy compared to Elad at 4 Shadow Energy. And Niche also at 5 Shadow Energy. So I tried a standard Rush Mage build, and here's what I came up with. Got Christopher Wild, Laeria Knight, and Laerian Seductress making up the 12 allies. 23 abilities. Of course there's a lot of abilities, it's a mage. There's 4 Bad Santas, 4 Sinkholes, 4 Fireballs, 4 Lightning Strikes, 2 Transmogrification Curses, 4 Supernovas, 1 Leyline Nexus. And finally, our 4 items main draw engine being 4 Amulet of Conjuring. Alright, let's talk about the deck. Standard, your dream setup is a turn 1 Christopher Wild and a turn 2 Laeria Knight. The reason why I went Seductress is because I needed some extra board control, because I want to spend as much of my spells as possible hitting heroes as opposed to hitting the allies. This is very similar to what I talked about in terms of Amber. These are aggro decks. You want to go for the hero as much as you can. Sinkhole, I originally had Retreat, so I originally had Priest of the Light and Retreat. Priest of the Light was nice for controlling some Shadow Energy amounts, and giving me some extra health. However, it was not helping me with board at all, so I switched it. Same thing with Retreat. Once I put Seductress in instead of Priest of the Light, I wanted something else that was a little stronger for early game control if I didn't have a Knight to put down in turn 2. And for that, I went with Sinkhole, because it exiles these 2-cost allies that generally can be pretty big, like if it's a Vermin on the board, for example. So that's definitely going to help. In terms of bursting allies down. Same thing, you can pair it with a Lightning Strike to kill down a higher health opponent. You can pair it with your ability to kill a higher health enemy. So I really like Sinkhole the deck, especially with more locations showing up. Sinkhole's going to help with that too. Like if you're playing like an Iron Mage, for example, or Lackmire deck that's showing up for Dark Claw, you know, guys know what I'm saying. So Sinkhole feels good in this deck. Fireball, Lightning Strike, Supernova, all standard. Transmog Curse, because there's still fatties, you guys. There's still fatties in this meta. There's still elementals in this meta. And I wanted a couple of Transmog Curses to deal with that. Leyline Nexus is mainly just for Spell Eater bans. Rogues are starting to use it a bit more, so I wanted to keep a Leyline Nexus in my deck for that. And if I don't need it for that, I can use it against Badur, you know. And I don't have access to Acid Jet on the human side, so Leyline Nexus it is, guys. And then for Amulet of Conjuring, much faster playing with Amulet than it is Tome. Tome is almost unplayable now. It's just not fast enough anymore, and really it never really was that quick of a draw engine for mages, even in COTC, right? When it was just that. So Majaya was the go-to, because Majaya was giving you extra draw. With her ability, as she still does. So that's the deck breakdown and why I selected what I did. So let's talk about the matchups now. Okay. Your hardest matchups are going to be decks that play in the mid-range. This is what aggro decks always struggle with, is against these decks that come online mid. And anytime you don't get an ideal start, like you don't have a Chris, you don't have a Knight in hand, it is going to be a hard start. It's going to be a very hard start. So luckily, again, you have Sinkhole to help you out with that. Hopefully, if you don't have those Chris and Knights to start off with, you have at least a Seductress to slow down the board. You at least have a Sinkhole to slow down the board. You just need that initial damage so you can start getting Novas off. The main thing with these Rush Mages is that they want to play these Novas, but you really can't if your health is behind. That's why they play these low-cost allies for rush mages. So if you're playing more of a mid-range to late-game mage deck, for example, maybe you're playing like a sticky Majaya, you may not necessarily have 4 supernovas. You may only have 2 supernovas because you don't need it to keep burning down your opponent. So that's the key there, is getting your opponent's health down so you can finish off with supernovas and spell combos. Again, what I mentioned with Amulet, you want to wait until you have 5 shadow energy to use your ability, not 4, because you want that extra shadow energy for your amulets. So that's like turn 5 or turn 6 if you went first, because if you went first, you start off with 1 less shadow energy. Actually, I think it would be turn 5 still. I think it would be, because turn 2 you start off with an extra if you went second, right? So you'd be able to do it turn 4. So turn 4, turn 5, as opposed to Lost and Niche that are going to have to wait for turn 5, turn 6 to play their amulets. And that's why your Bad Santas give you that little bit of extra draw before you can bring your amulet online. Because you're not going to be able to use it for a number of turns. Especially if you run into an opposing Priest of the Light. Then you have to wait even longer to play your amulet. So those Bad Santas are going to help you out a lot, as you saw me using in that match there, to fill up my hand until I could comfortably play Amulet on the board. Yeah, I meant to talk about matchups, right? And I got distracted talking about these card combos, but you guys understand how this goes. Rush Mage is not where it once was, because mid and late became so much stronger than they used to be. So that's something you have to watch out for. Again, Irem Elad could still be better than Rush Mage. It just feels more natural to me to play Rush with Elad. I don't know, old habits die hard, maybe. But I still think it's really good. If you get the start that you're looking for, and you happen to be playing against a late game deck, like a Victor, for example, then you're probably going to win, because Victor's not going to be able to catch back up with the damage. If you run into a Darklaw, you're going to have a hard time, because Darklaw starts pretty fast. He can start pretty fast. Like if he starts with a Prophet on turn 2 and drops a Speed Strike on turn 3, or if he drops a Black Mirror and Machete on turn 3, you know, with Prophet on the board, he's ready to start to rip damage on the board against you. So that can be tough. Darklaw is definitely going to be a tough matchup. Zal is probably going to be better than it used to be, because in the past, Soul Reaper would just heal him right back up to full, but it doesn't heal him to full anymore. So you're going to have an easier time there. Zana is going to be harder than it used to be, because she has more healing than she used to be. Basically, you want to avoid playing allies against Zana as much as possible, because you don't want to let Adler give her heals. Adler, you can kind of burst down. You want to try to use your transmogs on Crimson Dusk, so you don't have to hit it, and therefore giving her more health. So those are the things to watch out for in that matchup. Anything else? It's just, you know, get your start, get the right cards in your hand. A couple times when I was going with my trial matchups, right, I didn't get the start that I needed either. Again, that's why I added Seductress instead of Priest of the Light, because if you don't get the start that you want, you're going to need some fallback options, you know. And Retreat just wasn't doing it for me early. They would just, you know, the allies would eventually come back, right? So Sinkhole was a better option to me for that too. So, and the same thing with adding Transmog in there. These are fallback options to help you if you don't get that ideal start that you're looking for in a Rush aggro deck. So that's it for Rush Elad. It's pretty simple deck to play. Hit hero, hit often. You know, don't drop Amulet right away on turn 4, because if you use your ability, it's going to get destroyed because of the sustained cost on Amulet. So you want to wait till you have 5 Shadow Energy, so you can drop your ability with the Amulet drop. And that's also going to make up for the tempo that it's costing you to play Amulet. So do that with your ability if you can. If not, you know, because don't forget that Elad's ability freezes allies for 2 whole turns. So you can really leave them for a while, which is what you saw I did in my last matchup, right? I hit the Behemoth, kept it at 2, dropped a Fireball with Seductress on the Scourge Colossus. That brought it down to 2 and stunned, and then I could just wipe the board with Supernova afterwards. So think about your cards there, think about your combos there, and you should have an easy time playing Rush Elad. So there you go, guys. That's it for my Elad video, and I'll see you next time.